How'd you do your marketing officially? How'd you kind of get your stuff out there?
You mentioned you are moving to California. What opportunities do you see?
The film industry or whatever, but there was like a writers and actors strike.
Yeah.
I had a lot of imposter syndrome. I might need some time to think on this.
Welcome everybody to episode 3 of the AstraCAST. Here today, I am joined by my co-host Marcos and our guest Nick Agrinzone.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so today's gonna be a cool episode. It's gonna be a lot about mindset, a little bit different type of business model, how Nick runs his business. And yeah, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
Yeah. So my name is Nick. I am a filmmaker, mainly now for small businesses. I've been doing it for around 4 years now. I kind of started, Nick knows, I was always that guy in high school.
Yeah.
I pretty much just was the main videographer, but I kind of took it more seriously in college. And ironically, outside of college, I was doing little projects here and there, mainly like music videos, even small business promos, some photo shoots. And at the time, I was living in this house with like 2 other people, which is a story within itself. But I was able to pay my rent, which for me was like a huge thing. It's like, dude, I'm literally able to pay my rent doing what I love. So the second semester of my sophomore year at college, I just kind of decided to get my associates and just kind of see where this videography thing will lead me to. And
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
What were some of those projects like? Those initial projects around college, for your friends. What were some of those projects?
Yeah, mainly music videos. And at this time,
okay.
I'm trying to think what camera I had. I think it was a Canon T6i. It was very run and gun, very beginner level. So, I was kind of just doing it, not for free, but like at a very discounted rate.
Right.
And yeah, pretty much how it would go is the artist would like send me like their track and they would tell me a little bit about the vision, and we would just mainly find these like random locations, like at the park. I remember one time we did it like the forest, this like random establishment. We like went down all the way deep into the woods because we wanted that sort of like aesthetic.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm trying to think what else I did.
I did just you directing everything.
Yeah, I was directing, shooting, editing,
wow.
writing. I still do that now. I have some more help now depending on the project, but yeah, still a somewhat one-man show.
Right.
I did some small business. That's kind of how I got started. I kind of realized like as I got more serious, like that's where like how I'm going to make this an actual lucrative career. Right. And yeah, but I do really love the beginning parts of my career because I really let my creativity fly and I expanded through so many things, and I met a lot of amazing people and I still am. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started.
How'd you do your marketing officially? How'd you kind of get your stuff out there?
Mainly Facebook,
Really?
Which is so weird because I feel like everyone thinks Facebook is dead.
Yeah.
And
But it makes sense.
Yeah.
Small businesses.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think maybe for our age group, it's a little dead, but like
Right.
for at least my target audience, which is like business owners, like 40s, 50s, 60s, like people who are like well-established small businesses in the area, that's kind of their main marketing
platform,
for social media. And I would specifically the local groups, I would like take videos or any projects that I was working on, I would just kind of post it in there, like talk a little bit about the business that I was working with, or if I just created something for fun, I would share it on there. And I kind of started building a repertoire from there and started getting recommendations. And then now it's pretty much the same. I've expanded to like Instagram and on YouTube as well. And honestly, at this point, most of my stuff now is kind of like word of mouth, which I'm very, very grateful for. But yeah, don't sleep on Facebook groups. Don't sleep on them.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's funny because like a lot of what we do, even like finding deals, like for like stuff to flip or stuff to buy and like hold, you can find a lot of it on Facebook and like just different investment groups, stuff like that. So Facebook's powerful.
Yeah.
Use it to your advantage.
I was gonna say for your industry, it's definitely very big.
For 100%. You know, you can find anybody. You can find lenders, other investors, realtors. Anybody's looking to buy. Everyone's looking to sell something. Everyone's looking to buy something. So
Yeah,
you can always
100%.
find like a deal or something like that. But that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, good deal. So tell us about your mindset. 'Cause I know you do like you're big into like mindset and like having like making sure you have the right like headspace to do what you do.
Right.
Especially because like you're an artist, dude. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like tell us a little bit about that. How it's like transitioning from like taking that step from not like working for another job and like now taking your step fully into your career with like filmmaking and videos.
Oh my God, this is a story. I hope y'all are ready because this kind of leads into something else I wanted to talk about. This is perfect. So when I left school, or when I graduated, I guess technically I got my associates, I went full throttle into my being a full-time videographer, full-time filmmaker, and it was exciting, but also I feel like the reality kind of set in because like while I had all these other things, it was more for fun and more a passion as well. But I mean, obviously, I'm sure you can attest to this. Like when it's an actual business and you make this like the sole, the main focus of your income, like it's different. Like you have to hold yourself accountable. You can't just, I don't know if we can curse on here. We can't just fuck around.
Yeah.
You have to actually like be 10 toes in or like nothing at all.
Done,
And so that reality was kind of setting in. And I guess previously to that, I was turning 20 at the time and just my mental health was like in the shitter. I think that was the worst my depression has ever gotten. And it kind of all comes together. But yeah, I actually ended up having to get a job at a warehouse. It was Macy's warehouse. Good God, never again.
Oh my God, I can imagine. Yeah, jeez.
Because again, I overestimated and I thought, oh, this will be fine because it was able to pay my expenses before. Right. But obviously, when you have a business and your expenses get more and more, and now that was when my business was kind of booming in college. It was mainly like the spring, and now we're transitioning into like the fall and autumn, or the fall and winter, excuse me. It's a little bit of a slower period, at least for me. And yeah, that reality was starting to set in. I was definitely not living all the way out right, especially in like my physical health. Yeah. Like I was eating whatever I wanted to eat. Yeah. No one could tell me nothing.
It gets you.
It was
like comfort eating, man, stress eating.
Bro, and it showed. Yeah. It showed. And that was kind of the beginning of everything. I remember I was like taking a shower or something, and then I just like looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, oh, bro, what the fuck? Like, what have I become, dude? I literally have the picture on my phone. I was like, this something has to change. So then from there, physical, like working on my fitness was like the main focus that kind of like got everything into gear. And then, I started really small. Like, dude, my anxiety was also crazy high to the point where, I don't know if you both know Planet Fitness, like the layout. Yeah. There's like this 30-minute workout room, right? Mm-hmm. I had to work out in there like exclusively because I was too anxious to go. Not even like on the free weight sections to go like to the machines. Yeah, really? Like I like could only stay in that little corner.
What about it?
What about what?
What
made me
like, what was that kind of internal conversation like? What was kind of preventing you from kind of exploring different parts of the gym? What was it that you were kind of fighting? I
think it was just insecurity, especially like I was just starting out. I mean, before that, it's not like I never went to the gym, but it was very infrequent to where I would try a couple things and then like fall off. And I think it was just that fear. And especially at that time, I was so in my comfort zone. Like I did not want to look stupid, which is, we can get into that. That's such a bad mindset, but there's no, it's something that affects a lot of people. I think that like going to your point, something that limits a lot of people is them being perceived as dumb or as stupid, especially if they're a beginner and they're not confident yet. Yeah. And that was mainly my issue. But, slowly but surely, I started watching more videos. I started getting more comfortable. I worked my way up to the machines, which is crazy, but I finally did it. And then I feel like that was really the moment, or I guess the catalyst for like all the other things. Like I started researching like how to improve my life, like how to improve my mental health, which was, I started researching meditation. I started doing cold showers. I started doing journaling and just all of these other sort of mantras that it was so foreign to me. I'd never even thought to imagine this, let alone actually put them into practice. And a lot of them I still do today. And I think overall that helped me with my business because I was more confident. I started, you know, I knew that I was improving myself and that I was worthy of taking up space and I was worthy of like putting myself in like these positions. I had a lot of imposter syndrome, especially with my art, where it's like, oh, I'm just starting out. Like all these people are like so much better than I am.
Yeah.
But you know, you're never gonna learn if you just stay where you're at and you don't expand and you don't move forward with your career or with anything in life.
Yeah.
And I guess, and that this was back in like 2019, 2020. And so as that's progressed, I think something that's evolved immensely, and this is honestly like in the past year or so, is I intentionally live my life as creatively as I can. And I think that's such an important thing for everyone to, it's, you know, especially as an artist, but even if you're not an artist, even though I think everyone's kind of an artist inside, but you know, I think we could all take value of really sitting back, analyzing our lives and thinking how we can make it more fun. Because I think, especially even if you don't own your own business, you know, life can get very repetitive and you could kind of lose that spark. And I feel like that's what leads people into having not only a negative mindset, but leads into bad decisions or looking to find that joy through other things like alcohol, weed, substances, stuff of that. And I think when you switch that part of your brain to how can I make it more fun, like sober? How can I make it more fun? Just experimenting, almost like when you were a kid. Like that's something that I've really taken into account. Because when I was a kid, like I've always wanted to be a filmmaker. I was like 10 years old, writing up scripts, like filming on my dad had this camcorder at the time. I was like forcing my cousins to be in my projects.
Yeah, right. You gotta do it.
So it's like coming full circle.
Yeah.
That's really neat. Do you still have any of those old projects by chance?
I don't think I do. I was like begging my mom. I was like, please find them. I don't know where they are, but
Really? That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be cool. Like look back on when you like once you're at that point, like where you can like reflect on your life and you look back to your like, so say like you're in your like 70s, you're done, right? You're done like with all your stuff. You look back on like your last thing. No, I mean it's be like with your career. If you
just go.
just stop, you just die. Like but it'd be interesting to like look back on like your last thing and then like your first ever like creation to kind of see.
Right.
But and that was my next question. I was gonna say why film, like why videography? But you said you've been doing it since you were a kid. So it's like something. Did you see somebody who was interested, or do you look at somebody like kind of look up to them to get you into, or is this a passion you always had since you could remember?
Yeah, I mean, my dad pretty much. My dad is a very artistic and creative person. He was the one that like gave me his camcorder.
Yeah.
To like kind of experiment and play around with, and I think he has this camera. It's from the 90s. It's like a pretty professional film camera, and he just like had it. So he's always been interested in that sort of stuff, and that kind of seeped into me. And I've always been very fortunate to have parents that like nurtured my creativity with all things. You know, I'm into singing. I played piano as well. I did acting. I'm still doing acting. That's a new passion that I've like tapped into. And I think just being around a creative family and just being allowed to play and experiment, that's kind of where it started. And I just like kind of furthered my skills as I grew older. And I've been fortunate to find people that have also nurtured that. I also had a videography teacher in high school that really like, really encouraged me to pursue this as a career, and gave me the confidence that I could do this full time.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you say acting, and I remember you said you go on before we were talking before we even started recording. You said you want to be the best actor, the best filmmaker, the best director. What's like where do you see? And you said you had it like mapped out. Where do you see yourself going? How do you see yourself getting there? And what made you want to have like that? It's an interesting mix. So doing all three. What made you want to do it?
Oh my God. Best writer, director, actor. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I only got into acting this year specifically. I've always wanted to write. I've always wanted to direct. And I've only started saying this mantra this year because I feel like this is the only year I've had like the full confidence to say that outright and to hold myself accountable. But in terms of all of that, I've always envisioned like having full control of my artistry. Like even when I make it into like the film industry, I'm like a huge star and all this, like something that I've always wanted to be set in stone is my creative integrity. Like I didn't want to be in this industry and then have to sell out or have to, you know, promote something or just play a certain part that like I'm not comfortable or I don't like want to represent as well. So I think that just came about like, and also a huge inspiration of mine is Sylvester Stallone.
Really?
And I was watching not only his documentary, but he has a video on, I think it's his daughter's YouTube podcast situation. But he was talking about how he also was like the writer. I don't think he directed the first Rocky, but he acted in it. And a story that always stuck true to me is that the studio at the time that initially picked it up, they paid him, I think, or wanted to pay him almost like $200,000 extra for him not to act in it.
Yeah.
And he was saying that, you know, it would have been good money because he was broke at the time, but he would have always regretted having sold out or not knowing that what if.
Yeah.
So I think that's such an inspiration for me to have someone be doubted so many times and for him to create not only Rocky but Rambo and so many other projects, and him being the full creative, like he's writing, he's directing, he's acting. And I think that's such a beautiful thing, and that's something I envision with myself as well.
I like that inspiration, dude.
Yeah, it's great.
And shout out to Sylvester Stallone. That dude's had quite a career.
Yeah, I know.
Kills it.
It's incredible.
No idea that, you know, it was that the whole you said he was offered an extra $200,000 to.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I had no idea. It was crazy.
And that hits kind of hard.
Yeah.
Because like you believe in yourself. That's not like another thing. Like you believe in yourself. Like taking the $200,000 would just be betting against yourself. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah,
I mean, bet on yourself.
I mean, even now, like I've had certain projects offered, but it's just I knew in my gut that they didn't relate to me or that I didn't agree with it, and it's kind of tempting because I mean I'm still starting out as an artist. You know, I'm not like mainstream in Hollywood yet, but I know that integrity, and I know that me sticking by what my morals are and what I envision for myself, it's going to pay off in the long run. Because I think especially now, there's like this short-term fix where I feel like people are too focused on the now, which I think is important to some degree, but they don't think of anything greater than that. They don't think about what's going to happen in a year, 10 years, 5 years. Like I'm trying to lead a legacy.
Right? That's exactly it. And so I like that.
Yeah.
We're trying to do the same thing, trying to build something that like you can like leave a footprint on the earth.
I mean, you both are killing it. So we're all going to create a legacy. Just
right.
Watch.
Damn right.
Just try.
Hell yeah.
Continue to hold each other accountable and
Yeah.
just
Keep growing.
genuinely try our best.
Yeah.
Keep growing. Question for you. So this is your business, how you make your money. How do you, for people, someone looking to get into the business, get into filmmaking, get into videography, how do you monetize it? What are some steps you can do to either obtain clients, to like get sponsored, to do shoots? How do you get clients, and how do you set boundaries to, like you said, work with stuff that feels right for you and that fits your because I feel like it's tough to do what you do. It's tough to like get clients. So what makes you have the confidence to turn down certain opportunities because they're not the best for you, but they're going to pay you? So yeah, tell us a little about that, how you structure it.
That's a good multi-layered question. I don't think I've ever been asked that before, but in terms of how I make my money, I pretty much, at this point, I have like some repeat clients. I work with the Bushnell. I work with a company with Film Haven. Shout out to them. And I also just have like my own recurring clients. And in terms of like how to actually monetize it, I think the easiest way is to edit for other people, especially, you know, in this day and age with people doing social media, you know, just people wanting to put as much content out there as you can. So that's been something that's been, you know, really a game changer for me, especially with short form content as well.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's
engagement.
insane. I feel like people are finally understanding that like social media and video and content creation is like a very utilized skill that you should be using for your business. And that's mainly been that, but also I think it's a long game, kind of like what I was saying before. I think you have to go to networking events. You have to meet new people. You have to work on certain projects, hey, even for free. And you have to kind of get your name out there. And then eventually, you know, the business will come. People will start recommending you, especially if you know, have a really positive outlook and you really connect with people, you know, on a deeper level. I think, you know, what's worked for me is honestly being recommended for a lot of things, which is kind of crazy. It just makes me feel good that like people actually like are coming to me and recommending me and speaking so highly of me and my work. And in terms of having boundaries, I think especially when I worked on myself, like my boundaries are very, I shouldn't say finite, but like they're pretty strong because I think I've very much assessed, at least in this current moment of time, like what I will allow and what I won't allow. And so I kind
of those things, if I could ask a little bit.
Yeah. So some of those things, trying to think like what specifically, because I kind of do it more on an intuitive feeling, but I think mainly just something that's, I'm trying to say, like, depending on the business model, you know, if it's something that I feel is kind of like a get rich quick scheme or something that I feel like the output isn't as, you know, moral to my standards or like the integrity of the product.
Right.
Like I've always like kind of had like a meeting before to talk about it, and most of the businesses I've worked with are great and really genuinely care about the customers, but there have been some where
there's that few,
there's that few where not only the product is or the service even is kind of sketchy, but like the things that they tell me, they're like, oh, we'll film this, but kind of like cut out, like kind of manipulating what it really is or trying to make it look better than it actually is. And also a huge boundary of mine is that I'm not available 24/7.
Yeah.
Like I have kind of my like 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 in terms of like my communication hours, like my business hours. But I think, you know, assessing those boundaries, especially when you're starting out and like assessing a contract, being like, hey, I'm available, you know, from this time to this time. This is what comes with the video. And this is what like you can ask for. These are certain revisions, because especially in the creative industry and just like owning your own business as well, I feel like people kind of test you more and they try to get you to do more work for free and not even like really compensating you for it. Or they just try you a little bit. So you have to really assess like straight out, like, hey, this is what I offer. This is what, you know, this is my time and we can renegotiate, and there's different ways we can go about it. But I'm trying to, you know, for my own mental health and just for my own business productivity and just like to help myself out too. Like, you have to really say what you are comfortable and not comfortable with. And me like having that like not limited communication, but like having those strict, I guess having that boundary there is what really keeps me sane and produces the best work, at least for me.
I could see that, right? Where people try to kind of, you know, try to manipulate you to get a little bit more. And it's, I feel like today it's not uncommon to see people have a hard time saying no.
Oh yeah.
Or especially for maybe more desperate people who are clients.
Yeah.
What would you kind of say to those people that kind of you know, have a problem saying no, or you know, approaching conversations where you know you agree to one thing and then all of a sudden, what would you kind of say?
Well, to kind of go off on your first point, like doing more than what you're asked, I think in the beginning you kind of have to. I mean, obviously keep those boundaries in check and like don't push yourself, but you know, especially when you're starting out and you may not have like the portfolio to back it up, you know, doing more is great. You should be doing more. You should be giving more value so that you're, you know, building a repertoire, like I was saying, and also like building more for your own personal portfolio. But in terms of having that conversation, first of all, I always believe in a contract. So there's like a very, you know, finite agreements of like
in writing, like
exactly. So it's like if they try something like, this says no.
Right? Like you have it. Yeah.
But I think in terms of like having that conversation, I think, you know, it obviously comes with, it's a confidence thing. So I think self-improvement is definitely a big thing you have to do, not only just for your personal growth, but also just like if you're running a business, you have to kind of like have that confidence and, you know, have that self-assurance that like, okay, I'm worthy of this. Cause I think a lot of it kind of stems from insecurity that they, you know, I should be doing this. No, they're right. I'm wrong. But it's, in terms of approaching that conversation, what I usually do is I, you know, either schedule a call or even like in person. I kind of like to do it in person, just give them that respect and say, hey, you know, I can offer this, and kind of come to a compromise, but, you know, moving forward, this is how it's going to go. You know, this is what my packages offer. You know, my prices are increasing. If you want to continue this, that's great. But if not, I understand. And, you know, in the meantime, let's work together to compromise on this current project. I think a lot of people respect that more than you would know, because, you know, you can't even blame them, because if you don't tell them, like, I guess why wouldn't they? But I think just calmly like taking time to yourself and really analyzing the relationship, and again, coming to a compromise, because you want to meet them where they're at too. You want to come up with some sort of middle ground if that's you know, possible. And that's always what's worked for me.
Yeah. Okay. say keeping transparency with your with your clients, people you're going to business with, having a contract in place. Nothing is binding until it's signed by both parties and agreements. So never do business without a contract.
Yeah, and I think that's like in friendships too, and relationships, like that kind of bleeds to everything, you know. I think this takes a lot of time as well because, you know, as you're experiencing life, you're learning new things about yourself, you're learning what you like, what you don't like. And even me, like I have, you know, the boundaries that I have now may not be the boundaries that I have in 10, 15, 20 years, but this is what I'm comfortable with now. Like, for example, kind of what I was saying, like the communication is very big in all aspects of my life where, you know, I'm not a caller. I am not a caller. Like I love a good text. I love a good audio message, but I like sort of that time to process. And I feel like a call or a FaceTime, it's
on the spot.
It's like not even that. It's just like a time killer, especially FaceTime, because you like have to be there.
Yeah, you
for
like look at your phone.
I just like I don't like really roll that way. Like I would rather do it in person. So I think that's a main boundary that I have. And even like going deeper, I mean, I guess that kind of stems from like people feeling that they have so much access to you. Like, you know, I need me personally, I need time to regroup and to like assess my own thoughts, and I need my space. And that's honestly how I show up as the best, you know, the best friend, business partner, relationship partner. And yeah, that bleeds into anything. You should have those, and again, those boundaries can change, but you should have people that respect that. And I guess, and I would say honestly, if anyone is, I think when you set a boundary and then you see how people react, that kind of shows how they feel about you. That shows how much they respect you. Because yeah.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, you're good. But yeah, I mean, like I've had instances where people, luckily the majority of my friends, all of my friends that I have now, like were very respectful of that. They're like, oh, of course, like 100%, and they've abided by that. And there have been like little slip ups, but like the intention is that, you know, they respect me and they respect the boundaries that I do have. But I have had to cut some people off who felt like it didn't apply to them, or they tried to again push that. And, you know, I gave them a few warnings, but after a while, it's just like my philosophy is like, okay, y'all are grown. Like you know better.
You're an adult.
Yeah,
you know
exactly. I mean? And it's like at this point, you know, I only want the people in my close circle to like really understand where I'm coming from. And then likewise with them, I always, you know, ask people what they're comfortable with, like what are certain like things that they allow and don't allow and stuff like that. And I think it's just all about, it kind of creates this like level of safety, I guess, that you're allowed to fully express yourself. And yeah, it just kind of helps everyone out in the long run.
So what does that personal time look like to recover? When you take time to recharge, what does that look like? What are some of those activities or things that you include?
Good one.
Ooh, it could look like a lot of different things. Sometimes it's journaling. Sometimes it's writing my own project. Sometimes it's working out, going to the gym, like getting my mind-body connection right. Sometimes it's just jamming out to music. Sometimes it's watching a film. I think it's kind of whatever it is, but I try to keep it as productive as possible, and also allowing to do things that'll better hone my craft and just kind of sit with myself and assess, okay, how do I, because I think throughout the years that I've been on self-improvement and just like, you know, existing as a person, I realized that I'm the type of person that like I need to sit down with my thoughts and really analyze, so I don't just react and maybe make a decision that I'm not proud of or that wasn't the best decision. And you know, this is life, so it's like there are going to be moments where it's like you're not going to make the right decision, and it is what it is. But I think as long as you have time with yourself and you know yourself, you know, I think that's all you can really do. I think that's just how I personally find time, and just like delving into new topics, even learning something that's very, very important to me too. Just like learning more. I mean, now I would say it's more philosophical based. Just like I'm kind of reading this book called Either Or by Soren Kierkegaard. I said that wrong.
Something. Yeah, I feel you.
I said that wrong, but just growing overall, or even taking that time to rest. I think we all have to rest, and yeah, just finding that balance that works for you.
So spinning off that, Marcos and I had a heart to heart the other day about like how we prioritize our time. and almost in a process of like not ever taking a minute to like reflect on like what you do have. And we noticed where we were getting ourselves caught up and like we're like going, but we never like stopped to smell the roses, I guess you could say. How would you so it seems like you had that like figured out already. You like are past that aspect. How would you give advice to somebody who is in that mindset of like I need to keep going, but they don't ever stop to smell the roses, or they stop to have that personal times? Everybody needs like a second to themselves at some point.
Yeah.
So how do you what would you say?
I think, well, first off, I wouldn't say I'm perfect at it. You know, I'm kind of saying this like idealized version of like, you know, what I want my life to be. But the truth is sometimes when, you know, maybe work's a little bit slow or I feel like I'm not being as productive as I could be, those thoughts kind of do creep in. I need to be doing more. I should be doing this. Like what I'm doing isn't good enough. And then I sometimes compare my work to other people's work, which is such a toxin.
Thief of joy.
Comparisons is thief of joy. Right? A toxin, yeah. But in terms of what I do and what I would recommend that other people do is to meditate or even just stand still within yourself for 10 minutes. At least 10 minutes and just look around you. Look around you and take that time to really analyze yourself, what you're feeling, what's around you, where you're living, how much you may have in your bank account. I don't know. It's just like everything. Really analyze who you are as a human being right now. And I believe that it grounds you into reality, and it grounds you into, okay, a lot of these things that I'm worrying about or that I'm stressed out about, they may matter, but they don't matter as much as you're making it out to be, because it's not life or death in a lot of instances. And you know, even if you do fail at one thing, there's always another chance to succeed. And I think it kind of puts things into perspective that everything isn't so finite. And also, I mean, I feel like everyone says this, but like you could die tomorrow. We're not guaranteed another day, another hour, true. Another minute. So while I do believe it's good to be hard on yourself and to, especially when you have high standards of yourself, I think that's a very, very good thing to have. It's also just as important to recognize how far you've come and to appreciate that, because you know, who you are right now, you know, the person even last year wouldn't even believe that you're here right now. And even if, you know, you're not in a good mental headspace right now, at least you're alive. Yeah. So many people aren't alive. So many people die young or they die old and they feel that they haven't lived up to whatever expectation they had. So I think the fact that you're even here and you're even going on this journey is a blessing within itself.
That's a fact. Yeah. And that's another thing. A lot of people don't realize how like blessed they actually are. Yeah. To be here or to even have loved ones around them. So a lot of people don't get that lucky. You know what I mean? They could lose someone close to them. And then you look back on like the time that you could have spent with that person, or the time you could have like done something with your time, and you just don't you feel bad about it. But as long as you could take some time to reflect, spend that time with your mom, you know what I mean? Like kind of take the time for yourself is something I feel like is really important. It's something, like I said, we're still working on. Like all of us are still working on, because it's like it's tough. Yeah,
even myself, I think as a creative person, you know, I try to make everything my art. Like I have my camera with me right now. I bring my camera everywhere, and in some ways it's such a blessing because I get to create everywhere I go, and I get to document and experience new things, and I get to it's a challenge to create every day. But again, kind of going back to what you were saying, to take that time with your family, with your friends, just with people around you that really love and support you, that's like you can't buy that. Right. You can't buy that. That's so precious, and you need to take the opportunity to do that before it's too late.
Time blocking. You get I saw your board, and you have like you posted your board on Instagram, and I was intrigued because you seem to have your stuff mapped out. How do you, like, what's your take on time blocking, task management, and how do you stay productive? Because like you're your own boss, and it means that you make your own schedule. How do you you block everything in? Still have time for like getting new clients, taking on new projects, doing editing, building your own stuff. How do you time block? How do you manage that?
I don't call it time blocking. It's like time framing. I usually, again, the idea, like in this industry, like things change, especially depending on the project. But usually what I do is I have some sort of framework, which is, 7 to 8, I wake up, do my morning routine, take a cold shower, meditate, like really kind of get myself in that right environment. And then I have 9 a.m. to around 3 to 4 p.m. It's just create or edit or just do whatever work I have to do in that creative field. I think, even though you work for yourself, I'm sure you both could attest that like having that like schedule and having that discipline is such a crucial part. Because if you don't, like it'll all crumble. And after like 4 p.m. I go to the gym from around 5 to 7, give or take, and then the rest of the night from around 7 to 10, I'll either finish up some work, I'll have dinner, like watch a movie, just kind of enjoy that time with my family and loved ones too. That's kind of where I map up that like personal time.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's kind of my routine. And again, things change, but I do make it a point to create every day, whether it's for a client or whether it's for myself.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to bounce that question. Like, what do both of you do? What do your kind of routines look like?
Yes, I try and get up for like 6:15.
Okay.
More recently it's been like, well, not recently, but it's like, I emphasize to try to get up for 6, but like, it's been like 6:15, 6:30. But
I'm at 7, so you're doing better than me.
Everyone's got a thing. I noticed like, as we talked about this before, it's like I noticed when you get up earlier, you can like you don't have as much distractions.
Right.
Because if I know like I'm an easy distracted person, so like if I were to get up later and I try to like get like my at least hour and a half to 2 hours like focused work in the morning, my phone will ping, someone will email me, someone will message me, I'll see a notification from social media, I'll be like, oh wow, that catches my attention.
What does your deep work look like?
So I'll pull up my laptop, I'll edit our newsletter, I'll get our stuff done. On the freedom side of things, I'll look at our CRM, see what new leads came into the system. I'll send out emails, I'll respond to emails, I'll kind of like break down my stuff for the day. So if I'm going to go on any appointments, going to see any houses, I'll get that lined up. If I have any calls with sellers, I'll get like kind of like my presenting an offer. I'll get like that kind of stuck in my head of what I'm going to say, what I'll say to their objections if they object to it. Like, because like at least in our business, like everyone's different. Like everyone has something else to say. So I just like playing phone calls or like conversations in my head to like handle like what people could say to me. Like I always have a response ready. Right. So I try and do that. But recently there's been like the newsletter, working with our writer to make sure we're pumping out like good content for that. And just like doing our regular real estate stuff to like keep growing our portfolio. But,
okay.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah.
The majority, I would say, I'm trying to fix when I go to bed.
Huge.
So
Same.
Right now,
like,
I still work with the roofing company. I'm just not as involved on the field, but I am a lot more involved behind the scenes.
Right.
So that kind of kills a lot of time. And so, really, when I'm done with that, is all the Astra stuff. So, anything that needs to get done we just knock it out in the afternoon.
Yeah.
All right, that's sick.
I'm a fan of waking up in the morning before the sun comes up. That's what I'm used to.
Okay.
We would get ready for roof projects at like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Damn.
And so, now that I have a little more flexibility with my mornings, I don't necessarily have to be on a job site at like 6 in the morning.
Right.
However, now we're learning so much about different tools and different social media strategies. I'm getting a lot of my like flow state before I go to bed.
Right.
So I've been going to bed pretty damn late. It's not the best because I'm more of a morning person, but I haven't been able to find. Because my entire house gets up pretty early, so there's a lot of action.
That's kind of good though, because it kind of holds you more accountable to like wake up early.
Right. That's what you would think.
Like, actually, never mind.
Right, but it's I've been all over the place with my schedule, so that's something at this very moment I'm in the process of fixing. I need to get more sleep. I'm staying up. I'm letting myself kind of get carried away in these flow states, and I'll go to bed. Sometimes I don't know what time I go to bed.
Yeah.
Because I'm just so like
Keep working.
You know, I'm learning about something different, or I'm trying to like map out, try different strategies for and this could be for anything. This could be for roofing or Astra stuff.
Yeah.
And then again, I'll go to bed at like 1, almost 2 a.m. And then you know that kills me because then you know I have to sleep. My body wakes up after like 6.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I've just been used to that my entire life.
Right.
And I think I do need more sleep.
Yeah, I feel like we all need more sleep.
All right.
Like, dude, sleep is so important. And like, kind of
Essential.
going off that point, I think something that I'm gonna try to do is like go to the gym in the morning, because right now I'm an evening goer,
Yeah.
like 5 p.m. But then I like crack open a
100%.
Monster, and then it's
Yeah.
like I wonder why I can't go to bed. It's like, dude, you literally have so much energy.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, right?
Right.
You're geared.
Yeah.
Like I would love, once I fix my schedule, and I'm almost done kind of scheduling all the stuff that I want to release for the rest of the month.
Mm-hmm.
But once I'm done, ideally, you know, going to bed at like 10:30, winding down, right? Like,
Yeah.
For me, winding down is maybe reading a little bit of scripture,
Mm-hmm.
going to bed, waking up, and then maybe at like 5:30 hitting the gym.
Okay.
That would be my ideal. I'm not a big like routine guy. I've tried to get into morning routines to get in the zone, but like
Right.
they waste too much time.
Mm.
I don't like going to the gym anytime after maybe like 1 o'clock because it wastes time. You start bumping into people, you start bumping into heads. You know, at my gym I have to compete for some of the machines, and so I'm not a, you know, I hate feeling like I'm wasting time. And what I found was that I was trying to craft this perfect routine to get me in the zone. For me, it didn't work.
Right.
Like I just have to get up and like start doing something. But I have to plan the night before. It's okay. Like, you know, these are the first few tasks I'm gonna do. For me, reading a little bit of scripture, working on this thing, reading, you know, taking in new information from this source, but like start, and then my work day around 9 o'clock is when I start doing some of the heavier actions. Okay, this needs to get done over here. This roof inspection needs to get whatever. Take it, you know, and so that's what I'm like trying to get back into.
Yeah, I mean that. Hey, everyone has a different system in place. What works for one person isn't going to work for the next. So, I mean, I commend you for coming up with your own system and figuring that out.
Still trying to figure it out, but
yeah, I mean that's fine.
I'm trying to be like our buddy Tyler, who sleeps. I think he sleeps like 8 to 9 hours.
Damn.
He like really he prioritizes because he's always on my ass. So I'm like, yeah, I'm tired. He's like, because you don't sleep, and I'm like, well, I understand that. But he's like,
does he have any tips?
He just goes to bed early and like he just makes sure he gets his rest. He just goes to bed. He'll have his routine like set. So he'll just like no matter what he's doing, like he'll make sure he just goes to bed like when he has to go to bed.
Does he have like a nighttime routine? I'm gonna have to ask him.
I'll have to bring him on. I don't know.
I
don't know honestly.
I haven't talked to him in like 7 years. What's your nighttime routine?
Literally, like, hey man, like what do you do to take care of yourself? Do you like wash your face? Like you wash your like shower before you go to bed? But yeah, everyone's like sleep's essential.
right. I feel like a big one would be kind of eliminating all the technology before.
That's a big one.
Blue light, yeah.
But it's been you know, I haven't really and I like I say I know about the blue light and all, but like it's a lot. I feel like it's a lot bigger of a deal than, you know, at least I'm personally accepting.
Yo, 100%. I think I'm like winding down from that as well, because like I don't know why I just like clicked, but I saw like the light coming and I'm like, that's not good. Just like as I'm in not even like in bed, but just as I'm on my phone like in the nighttime, I'm just noticing like that light, because I'll sometimes like if I have my phone like face like towards my face, I'll put it towards like the wall and I'll see like the light illuminating on that wall and I'm like, that's going in my eyeballs.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna go blind. I'm already blind. I'm wearing contacts, but it's like only gonna get worse.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, no, it's not good. It's not good. So outside, like I've been trying to do the same. I'm trying to like just unwind. Like Shelby and I spend time together at night, just because of that. Because like just like you get so like caught up in what you're doing, so caught up in like your workflow, that you also like you in a way you neglect yourself. And at least what I found, that I become less productive.
Yeah.
Like, cause I'm just like I'm always fucking tired. So
yeah.
like we preach like you got to go hard, but in reality like sleep is essential to even thinking about going hard, because you can't go hard if you're tired.
Exactly.
You push yourself
it's like
through
it's
it.
a full circle moment, dude.
Yeah. you push yourself through it, but then you just don't get shit done.
Right.
So you mentioned you are moving to California. Why are you doing that? And what opportunities do you see? I can imagine because everyone who liked those films probably in Cali.
Yeah.
But where do you see like what opportunities you see for yourself and what inspired you to take that leap? Because that's like we live in Connecticut. For those of you who don't know, we're Connecticut based company and podcast. And California is across the nation. So,
it is.
Yeah. So
it's literally the complete opposite.
Yeah. So what brings you to California?
To add to that a little bit, I wanted to ask about what you would say is the coolest project you're working on, which kind of it seems like I'm sure it's going to involve California. Like what's the big picture?
That's a good question. Well, I'll start it with a prelude or like a mini story. So I actually went to Los Angeles already for like a month back in August.
Did you?
And it was just one of those things where it was calling to me for a while. I'm like, okay, it's like now or never. And it's funny because I don't know if anyone's like caught up on like the film industry or whatever, but there was like a writers and actors strike. Yeah. So you had to be very, very careful.
Why is that? Can you like elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing as far as I know is that AI was a huge one as well, because people, especially with like background actors and stuff, there would be a one-time rate, which was very low, and they could like scan your facial properties with AI, and they could like multiplast or whatever. They could use it for other projects and not even consult you. Versus like, yeah, like that's insane. So that was a huge one. And then also just writers not getting paid enough to like live a decent wage, especially in Los Angeles. And also, you know, especially for television, you know, sitcoms back in like the 90s, early 2000s was like 26 episodes. So it's like they were getting like recurring work, or they were on the season for a while.
Yeah.
But then, especially now with streaming and everything, there's only like what 8, 9, 10. That's kind of like an average medium, and there's not as much involvement, and it's a lot less structured. And also, there was a problem about writers not even like being on set, because sometimes writers will be on set to kind of like work around with the script. If like an actor wants to say it a different way or isn't comfortable with something, they'll like kind of you know, fix it on set. Like that was an issue that it just wasn't happening. And then also the current contract that they had, it was for, I think it was 60 years old or something like that. So this was like traditional media. Like it did not take into account streaming, like the money that the companies were making through that, the profit. So like a renegotiation was bound to happen. And luckily there's like a tentative agreement right now. It's not even finalized, but it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Where do you see that going?
I don't know, because AI, I mean, like, I don't want to be a hater of AI because I feel like everyone is, but like, I don't know, that whole like facial scanning,
that's
and like
crazy.
I'm like, that scares me a lot. But I have hope that like people, you know, would rather engage with the authentic person versus like the AI creation. Also, I think especially right now, AI is like pretty human generated for the most part. Like, yeah, I mean, ChatGPT, it's crazy, but like you have to be like putting something into it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not something yet to where it could like it's not
something to get right.
Exactly. But yeah, going back to LA, so I found this creative hostel, which I don't know if you both know what a hostel is, but it's like pretty much like a hotel but with random people. It's you kind of just live with a bunch of people and you just plop yourself. It's like it's a bed. It's literally a bed, and you just kind of meet other people through that way. A lot of people use it for like social aspects, but also for financial aspects. And I found a deal online where it was like $350 for the month, which anywhere is crazy, but in Los Angeles, especially like that, I was like, how do I pass that up? So it was a hostel specifically for filmmakers and musicians. There was like a little studio that they had. I'm like, this is the place that I have to go. I put like the down payment on it. I, you know, finalized everything.
Is there any privacy? You know, you said musicians. It seems like where would people practice? Or what,
there was like a studio there, although it was fine, but most of my friends, like they use like other people's studios or like connections that they have. But there was a film studio where like the walls were painted green, you know, to resemble a green screen, so filmmakers could do like their self tapes or any projects that they wanted to do. And then there's like a little booth where they could have like a recording session. They had like a mic and just like some other software that they had too. But in terms of privacy, I mean, I was really, really lucky. The other people there were incredible, and I met like an amazing group of people there who I'm so excited to see again. And we all kind of understood that like we all needed our own space. So there was like certain sectors of the room where it's like, even if you weren't physically like alone, like you were kind of just like chilling out or just like taking a nap or just on your phone doing something or watching a movie. You know, we all kind of respected each other's privacy and each other's time, but like also it made me more social. It forced me to like
I can imagine.
not hide because I literally couldn't, bro. I was in a bunk bed. Like I did not have my own room. I had like, there were, I'm gonna say 10 people in my room, 10, 12, 15.
Jeez.
Yeah.
How big is the room?
It's, I would say double this room.
Jeez.
So yeah, crazy.
It's a pretty small room.
It is, but like there was more space than you would think. It's something that like, until you're actually in the situation, it sounds insane, but like when you're actually living it, it's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally loved it, and then I kind of realized quickly that the strikes like really were impacting, the industry. I always knew it would, but I thought it would kind of, I thought independent filmmakers would kind of use this as their opportunity, to start their own projects, and I could like hop on theirs, but like I kind of underestimated how like difficult that would be. So I kind of just realized quickly that there literally wasn't work. And it's one thing if like there was work and I wasn't getting it, but there's like no work, period.
Yeah.
And so the strikes have been on that tentative agreement since November, I want to say. So it's like now I can actually work.
And
And
you're back.
I think I also love the New England autumn and early winter season, so I kind of wanted to be around for that. But after January, I'm kind of just like over Connecticut. Like
Understandable. It sucks until like April, May.
Yeah, so that's a huge thing. And then also in terms of like my career, I mean, that's Hollywood is the place for film entertainment, like anything really. Like that's the place where you don't have to be, especially like right now, since everything is mostly digitalized, like thank God. But if you really wanted to go somewhere in the traditional sense, like being available in LA is kind of the place where you got to be, and it just gives you so much more experience. And I feel that it's my time right now to just try something new, just say fuck it.
Why not?
Like just drive somewhere and live there and force myself to be uncomfortable and see what happens. That's the plan. I don't know if it'll actually happen. I don't know if I'll just like fly down there, but my plan is to like get my car all in check and then just drive there. Yeah, it's like a 48-hour drive, so it's gonna have to be broken up.
Well, but you being a creator, you could document the
Yeah,
exactly.
That's content. It's
that
free
is content. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I think you're gonna kill it. Honestly, you got the personality for it.
Bro, you both are gonna
like,
kill it too. Everyone here that is in this room and that is watching this is gonna kill it.
Of course, that's why,
certified.
That's why we're here. And that's why you're watching it, because you're part of the vibe. But so this is my personal last question for you.
Okay.
You mentioned your spirit group. Tell us more about that. What is it? I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
like
I love that.
I meant to ask you last weekend too, but then I got in my car and I was like, I didn't even ask what it was. So
Yeah,
what is
no
it?
worries.
How do people motivate you? How do they inspire you? What made you how'd you find it? And then
Oh, you love this. But mainly it was my friend Michael, who I met 2 years ago. Ironically, it was through a YouTube video because he posted like a cinematic film of where he's from in Massachusetts. And I was just like, oh, okay, this sounds cool. And I felt extremely called to like message him and like follow him on social media. And from them, it literally, I love this. From there, it started this beautiful connection, and we were both aligned on the same sort of things. We were both going through our own journeys, like within our spirituality, mentally. It just really worked out, and it's crazy. Yeah.
So, the spirituality group. What is like? What does it surround?
Yeah. So I'll kind of get into that. So basically, it's my friend Michael, and then his girlfriend Essie. She's also into spirituality as well. They're both actually life coaches right now. They're working on their program. And how this group came to be is they have another friend named Anna. Oh, I love this. He's like, don't pet me. I'm so sorry. But no,
He's here.
there's this other friend named Anna. We have another mutual friend, Tyler. I know another. It's weird. It's like all of these people started like coming into my life, coming into Michael and I's life. So we just decided to make this like group of people that were all growing in our spirituality, and even outside of spirituality, just like a lot of us are entrepreneurs as well, doing our own things. There's my like I said, Michael and Esty, they're life coaches. There's a musician in there, another content creator. It's just
How frequently do you guys meet?
Well, that's the thing. We're all from like different sort of places. So there's one in. Most of us are from the East Coast, but there is one that's in Florida, and we're expanding it. So obviously, there's going to be like more like diverse people. But
That's
I would
cool.
say we mainly the first time I actually met them was, well, all of them mainly at once was this Halloween. Like a week before Halloween, I wanted to just like make a video for them because they've given me such good advice and really taken the time. I wanted to repay that for them, and he ended up inviting Anna, and we all just sort of were talking about things that we were going through, you know, where we saw ourselves. Again, I said she's a musician as well, so what show she was doing, we ended up just like making a song by the campfire. It was so cool.
Yeah.
And then
It's pretty dope.
I guess what we talk about, it's pretty much just a really honest and open conversation about where we are, where we want to be. For example, something that I try to do is I really love to try and give value and just talk about discoveries that I'm going through. For example, like one of the things that I put in there is like create every day, do something every day that's for you, and that's just play. I have a saying called pay to play.
Yeah.
Especially in the creative field, where it's just like, bro, I'm getting paid to play. I'm getting paid to be creative, paid to just be myself, and that's such a beautiful thing.
Creation. Do you guys talk about where these concepts originate from?
Mm.
So like the idea of creation, and when you say spirituality,
Mm-hmm.
like is it like in faith, a particular faith,
Mm.
or and where do you like where do these concepts? Because I feel these are topics that I love to talk about.
Yeah, no, I love it.
But for you, where do these concepts originate from? The idea of creation and us finding this joy and pleasure in that.
Right. I mean, the honest answer is I'm still learning for myself and just kind of figuring it all out as we go. And ironically, I taught this mainly with our mutual friend Josh.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about it with the last time we found. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Isn't it right?
I know it all comes full circle, but as far as I say where it creates from or where it derives from, I think it also comes from ourselves in a sense, from where, you know, how we interact within this life.
When we talk about a lot of these concepts and why we like to create so much, and really when we're talking about why we are the way we are,
Right.
a lot of it I like to derive from biblical texts.
Okay.
And for me, so it's really cool. You know, the idea of a spirituality group is really
Right.
cool because you know I personally haven't seen that too often.
Mm.
But you could derive so much from you know our supposed creation.
Yeah.
Right. And so like creation, the reason we find so much joy in creation, at least from my perspective, I'd like to know your opinion, is because we're made in God's image, right? We're God made us in His image and likeness, and what did God do for the first 6 days? He created, you know, the earth. He created everything. He created for 6 whole days, and then He rested. And so, and then when He made us, He said, well, He's going to make us in His image.
Okay.
And God made man because He wanted to create something to acknowledge
Right.
all of His creation. So if we're made in His image, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
That a big part of our fulfillment comes from creating and passing things down. What's your perspective on that?
Ooh, I love that. I mean, for me personally, I think it's funny. I also grew up with a Christian upbringing as well, so I think God is like such an important part as well. I wouldn't necessarily say that I like subscribe to a particular religion now. I think it's, you know, how I have gone through this life. I feel like God has always found me, not necessarily through a religious context, but just me kind of like living my life and understanding going through different experiences, and like I've always had a very strong intuitive feeling, and I feel like that's kind of how that journey has been led for me, just sort of listening to certain signs that I've arrived to. Like for example, 2 years ago, or I guess a year and a half ago, on like my 22nd birthday, I remember I was like going on a walk or something, then an owl like sits on the branch, and maybe it was just an owl, but to me I kind of took that this year would be about wisdom and learning, and I think things like that are so beautiful when they kind of come into fruition. But in terms of creation, okay, I would say it's like putting things into the world, kind of like what you were talking about, like how God was like creating for 6 days, you said. I think it's just putting things out there. And also I think a beautiful part of creation is thinking outside of yourself as well, which I think we kind of relate to as well, like putting things out there. At least for me, I want to put things out there for other people as well, so that they don't have to suffer as much. Or I mean, who knows if they're suffering and what their definition of suffering is. That's a whole other thing. Yeah. But something that I want to do is to showcase or portray real life human experiences through art. And so things that I've gone through or certain experiences that I've had, I really want to showcase it in a very honest way. Because something about art as well is, there's something so beautiful about like symbolism, and also what I feel that especially now, like a lot of people try to tiptoe around certain subjects. And when you say it, like my artistic style is I want to be very blunt and direct to a point where it's almost uncomfortable, where people have to sort of face themselves in that way. But yeah, I think I answer like so many things. I don't even know if I answered the question to your capability, but yeah, I think everyone should have a group of people that they could talk about either spirituality or faith with. Like even with you, like, do you have a certain church that you go to?
I go to a church in New Britain.
Okay.
And I still haven't found a group that I can kind of talk about the lessons that we find.
Okay.
I'm personally like big into following, learning about biblical history, learning about all history, learning about the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really found a group that I can kind of share with yet, and it's but I do find a lot of value in it.
Right.
And I think that component has been really big for me personally in kind of solidifying that self-confidence. And
yeah.
So it's been, I would say it's been a contributing factor, but I haven't found a group yet that I can kind of go to and kind of talk about these things with.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's a lot of people get uncomfortable. People get uncomfortable when you mention God, when you mention Catholic. People think there's a lot of there's this stereotype of like, oh, you're Catholic, like you're very judgmental, and which is like I see where it comes from.
Yeah.
So it's been a little difficult to talk about it in today's world. So whenever I can, try to ask.
Yeah. No, I love that, and I think for me personally, I think faith is like a huge part of this whole spirituality. I think I kind of like to blend the two because I mean, fortunately for me, faith has always been like something that was found in critical thinking as well. Like I was never forced into it, and I never like I think there is a lot of religious trauma that some people can experience, and I think that's where that aversion comes from. But luckily for me, all of the conversations around God and like when we were going through the text, like in either communion or I went to a Christian college, and it was always kind of spiritual based as well. And they would ask like engaging questions like, okay, this is what it says. What does this mean to you? Or they would ask us certain things about like either what the priest would say during Sunday Mass, and they're like, what do you think about this? So I've always had a very engaging relationship with faith. And I've always saw faith and spirituality as like together. I feel like a lot of people kind of separate it and they're like two separate things, but I feel like there's a lot of community because I think that they're both creation. They're both finding ground, and they're both putting things into life, which I guess is the root of creation, bringing things to life. Yeah. And yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, if you're comfortable sharing this, what do you think is the main blockage from stopping you from, because I could understand like in general, but for your church specifically, or like, there are spaces for like Catholics, Christians where they can like come together. Do you just find that they don't fit well, or they don't find as organic?
Maybe I haven't done my due diligence and like properly looking.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I could be looking a little harder.
Yeah.
I think the community at my church is a lot older,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the youth is kind of disappeared. And it's not their fault.
Right.
I think how we approach passing on faith, I think you need to be very intentional about, and like you said, you shouldn't force.
Right.
You should like nurture the creative sides to children. You should nurture you don't force it, you nurture it.
Right.
And I think we're quick to like, and I think it's a like a previous generational thing, but they're very quick to be judgmental and to like kind of pound you in the face. I don't think that's the way.
Yeah, I agree.
So a lot of youth has disappeared, and it's a much older community now, and so it's you're not gonna, a lot of these people that are so set on their ways, you're not gonna change.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just kind of take a different direction and see if you can find other people.
Well, I'll send you, funny enough, you were asking about like a cool project I was working on. There's a client that I'm working on right now that I'll connect you with after, but they're pretty much, it's like a mass sort of, to where it's like different, it's like under Christianity, but it's like different denominations, like all kind of coming together. And it is mainly older, but there were a lot of young people too. Like, especially there was like a little performance that they did in the beginning. Mm-hmm. They were all, I would say, like maybe late teens, early 20s. So I feel like there's, I'll definitely connect you with them afterwards, because I feel like that's a very engaging way. I was very like surprised at how like engaging it was. And yeah. And then also, I guess like on another project I'm working on my first short. Ooh. Which is going to be my writing and directorial debut by myself, because I already have one working with a group. I did like a 48-hour film challenge, and that project I'm still very proud of. But like, this is going to be the first time where like it's not going to all be me, but I'm going to be like the main person driving this production into the front seat, which is crazy. So I kind of have a first draft done. I'm getting some feedback, and I'm like, I'm already thinking of things that I could do to make it better. Mm-hmm. So that, just having that project and having that thing to look forward to is so that's the project that I'm most excited for, because I'm actually like putting my true dreams, goals into focus. Yeah.
That's good. That's like full circle. And you are crystal clear on your vision. You execute daily. You task manage correctly. And you just kill it. So that's really
so
cool.
are both of you. I mean, I was telling Josh. I mean, when he mentioned that you had a podcast, like I saw the first episode, I was like, dude, Nick is killing it.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. No, it's so like we talked about last week. It's so interesting to see how far like you can like go, and like you just push yourself and you just take action.
Right.
And it's like, so you do even see where you're at now, going to California, you're gonna be in Hollywood, like doing exactly what you said you're gonna do.
I wish we did the podcast then.
I know
that would have been so sick. Just like set up in the middle of the cafe.
Dude, yeah, we fly out. We could
go back.
We could. There's no saying we're not, dude.
That's true.
So that's a fact.
What are you looking forward to? What's the end goal, right? And kind of, what's the biggest thing you're looking forward to in California?
The biggest thing that I'm looking forward to, not only in California, but just like life in general, is just creating. I feel like I'm a broken record saying that over and over and over again, but I think finding new avenues and new ways to create is just such a beautiful thing, and just honing in on my craft. For example, I'm actually in a screenwriting fellowship, or like a mentorship, because I took a internship during the summer, and then I was really grateful to like have that advance into like an actual like mentorship, to where I'm getting like exclusive calls and exercises from people who have like worked with people that have gotten Oscars. That is insane. That's cool. It's insane, dude. And just really utilizing my skills, something that I believe in, very heavily. I've said this before, create every day. I literally have my camera in that bag right now. And I think it creates creative discipline, which is something that I'm very passionate about, and I think everyone needs it in their life personally. For me specifically, I bring my camera everywhere I go and just film. Just literally film whatever, even if it's for like a few seconds or something like that. And something that I really am trying to do especially is on YouTube, that's kind of like the first phase of where I'm trying to go into, is really document my life and document these different philosophical topics that I want to get into. For example, the relationship with ego, creativity. You actually you're inspiring me when you were talking about creativity and where that derives from for you. So that's definitely, so thank you for inspiring me for that. Knowledge, I think, is a big one, and just like different life topics that I'm going through or want to delve deeper into. And I think, well, I know I should say that the further I get into my creative journey and the more success that I will accumulate, that I always want to keep that curious kid hungry and curious kid, just able to play and not take life too seriously. Because I was going to mention this as well. I think a lot of that I'm learning also in terms of like creative discipline and creating better art is experiencing more, putting myself out there and having the intention of working technically to like create, but also putting myself in uncomfortable situations. For example, when I went out to LA that first time, I never went to LA before. I didn't even, oh my God, the fun fact, actually terrifying fact in the moment. So when I like landed the plane or went off the plane, hopped off the plane at LAX, and then I took an Uber. I was thinking that way on the way there.
I literally just like thought what you said. I was like, oh wait, I just realized like
it's fine. But I took an Uber to the place, and I guess there was supposed to be someone on site, but they weren't working that day. So I was like spam calling the people, and no one was getting back to me. So I thought I was going to be like stranded in LA, just like on the side of this road.
Imagine.
Yeah. But luckily there were two people outside of the hostel, and they were able to like, get the security code open and like let me in. Cause like it was like a double coded thing. So like if you don't have that, you're not getting in.
Yeah.
So that's why literally, I would have been just on the street.
Yeah, casually, just got there, never been there before, like it's standing there, already homeless.
But I mean, that's a story within itself.
Yeah, right. Content.
But yeah, even on like a micro level, like going to a new coffee shop that you've never been before. I mean, I took him to get coffee, and I've never been to that place in my life. And someone ended up coming up to me and like asking about my camera and like engaging.
The owner of the shop came up to you.
Oh, that was the owner?
It had to be, bro. He was like, he said he said here at my shop, or like whenever I see someone in, he's like, whenever I see somebody come into my like my shop, I always, with the camera, I always like, feel obligated. Like,
I thought he said like whenever I see someone in public.
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
We'll find out.
He went into the back after or something. He had like just like regular sweatpants on, so assuming he owns it.
Ooh, let's go. That's a new connection right there. But
for real,
yeah, I think to kind of close it off, I feel like everyone is creative in some sort of capacity, in that I think at least currently in society, at least on the mainstream, that creativity is kind of suppressed, and there's this like I think monolith is the right word, or there's certain like standard, or there's certain structure where you have to abide by, or I guess it's like the certain I guess standard that leads to a quality of life or whatever. But I think something that's so important. He's so cute. Something that's so important is like taking the time to create that path and to experiment and to have fun and to just really challenge yourself and find new ways to play, because we're only on this earth for so long. So it's like we might as well have a damn good time living in it.
Right?
Yeah.
Dude.
That's a good message, dude.
What an ending statement.
Right? Like what a way to like I love that.
Go out there, put your best foot forward, believe in yourself, and create.
Yeah.
Create. Just, whatever it is you apply yourself to, be creative.
So how do you both plan on being more creative, either in your practice or like in your personal life?
Ooh.
I think we were talking about this a little bit before. I feel like I'm being a little too, we're too hard on ourselves.
Oh, dude, yeah. So like that's what we had. Like, so we had this talk recently. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people like in business need it to like be successful and to keep going. But at the end of the day, you also kind of like what I said at the beginning. They gotta like take time to smell the roses,
right?
And we just like haven't done that, and it was starting to affect our mental health. People are like, our girls saw it, our family saw it. Like you get so caught up in like taking time to like build your business, you like kind of forget what you're doing it for. You forget like the
Right.
why. So in terms of what we could do to be more creative, probably like let ourselves like enjoy the journey more instead of trying to get to the end goal.
Right.
Which, because like when you're that focused, you only see like the end goal and you get like frustrated with yourself that you're not there yet. But what's the point of doing it if you're not enjoying the journey along the way? So I feel like taking time to actually enjoy the journey it will help us like be more productive in the long run and just like happier doing what we're doing. Because before I said before this like last week, we're like just nonstop like just going and instead of taking that time to like really enjoy it, we're like, why? Like, what are we doing?
That's a really good point.
So that'll help. I think it'll help. So we're gonna see.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Also, when it comes to the creative side, we're caring a little too much, or at least when I'm working on all the social media stuff. I think I'm caring a little too much about trying to reach this level of perfection,
Right.
when we're just starting out, and I think it's been slowing me down and it's preventing me from just putting stuff out there and then seeing the feedback, seeing how what kind of engagement you get, and then kind of like improving off of that. I think it's been slowing me down a lot, and I haven't been putting stuff out there as much as I should be. And we're trying to work with a few of our team members to improve our social media game.
Right.
And I'm sort of going in with the expectations of like, I want Ormozy level results.
Yeah.
When we're still starting out, and so, you know, it's been I think I'm a little too critical of what we do and how we present ourselves. So it's been slowing me down, stopping me from just putting stuff out there and seeing what kind of feedback it gets.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great. I love what you said also about like being on that journey. I think that like, this is all a part of it. This right here is literally a part of the journey.
Because you look
like,
back. You know
I know it's gonna be crazy where we're all at in like 10, 5, even next year. Our lives could be so different or so similar in the best ways. It's crazy.
And you look back and you reflect. That's another thing I'm trying to do more too, is like reflecting on like what I do have.
Right.
Being happy for what I have, and not just like I need to do. I'm not there yet. I need to do more. At the end of the day, I'll never like. I don't think I'll ever be there. You know what I mean? Especially with what we want to do, like with the company, the philanthropist ideas that we have, to, like the way we can give back to the world. I don't think we'll ever be there, like fully, because something has to be carried on, like by like the next generation, or whoever takes on like what we're doing. I feel like, and actually enjoying the journey and not like worrying about the end result is essential, and that's what a lot of people forget. So. Yeah. All right. So thank you for watching this episode of the AstraCAST. Be sure to check out our 3 times a week newsletter, The Prosperity Blueprint, for all your real estate news, business, kind of what's going on in the world of real estate and other aspects of business, how it will affect real estate. Link will be in the description. Creeping up to a little over 100 subscribers. So we'll keep it moving. Let's go. But so thank you for watching, and we will catch you on next week's episode.
AstraCAST episode. I don't know what episode, but we'll figure that out.
3.
Episode 3. Okay. So it's mainly. It came so organically. It's so beautiful. It's mainly my friend.
He hears the food, bro. He hears the food. He gotta help himself.
When I was editing through our first episode manually, I noticed a lot of ums. And I ran the thing through Descript afterwards. It counted the number of just ums. Ums. It was an hour and 20 minutes of just raw files. Take a guess at how many times we said
Okay, now that you said that, 100, 150?
867.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude, it's bad.
We said
oh my god,
867 times. Can you believe it? But I got so used to seeing the frequency of the ums that every time I saw it coming, I kept cutting different parts out, and every time I saw the next bit of waves coming, I recognized the sound wave of the word
Okay, that's good accountability practice though.
Yeah,
then you're like, okay.
Oh my goodness, I just keep seeing, I keep clipping things, putting things together,
right?
And I see these other sound waves coming. I was like, that's another freaking